and I got in trouble. I know.
It smells like feet.
Does it?
Oh my God, it really does. Brendan ain't fucking around.
All right, so this is episode 15 of the Last Shot podcast, and we are starting. Trace counted me down for some reason, even though I'd already started.
In the middle.
Yeah. So he just distracted me.
Shit.
Episode 15. Episode 14 was the conspiracy cast. That was a little light.
Light on conspiracies.
Right. By next week, you mean last week?
Yeah.
Because by the time this
I
airs,
said it will be up next week.
Yes.
By the time this one airs, it'll be 2
It will be
weeks.
up on the, the 5th of March?
The 5th, yes.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Mexico!
Hopefully.
So, all right, we have this shot that is like
It
amber
is-
in color.
It is called a red-headed slut.
All right.
So, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Why did we go opposite arms?
I don't know. That was stupid.
Yeah, not bad.
Definitely tastes better than it
So-
smells,
yeah.
just like the last redheaded slut I had.
That is-
Oh, shit. That's a lot better than the cinnamon tequila we had last week.
yes,
Yeah,
it is.
that was rough.
So that
That was a
red-headed slut
yikes
is-
hard pass is what that was.
It's an ounce of Jägermeister, an
Okay.
ounce of peach schnapps,
Okay.
and then two ounces of cranberry juice. I can't say schnapps without
Sure,
like
sure,
the
sure.
schnapps.
We gotta get
well, that
past the
explains why I
schnapps.
liked it. Because I like all of those things
Yep.
in there. So Trace is going to
Not a
start his
bad one.
timer because we are going to try to stick to
Try to, but we have a lot of topics this
Right
week.
about.
Brendan,
Let's
bring up the first topic.
go.
Please
Wait,
bring
hold
up
on,
the
hold
first
on, real
topic
quick,
here.
real quick.
Oh,
No,
Mike, let me
just-
go.
Just
Oh, we got to introduce
recap-
everybody.
oh, it's Trace, Matt, Chris, Brendan. Okay, cool.
Hey.
Done.
It's the normal people, you know.
Yeah, except minus Joel.
yeah,
Joel
fuck
decided
Joel.
to go
It's
on
me,
vacation.
Fuck
this
Joel.
week,
boy,
so-
skinny penis.
He's not going to listen, so fuck Joel anyway.
Boom.
No, but
Got
so
him.
suck.
So
Joel, you
when
suck.
we recorded
Cocksucker.
our conspiracy theory podcast, literally the next morning I was on Reddit and ended up in a entire like 3-hour long
Down the
looking
rabbit
at
hole.
conspiracy theories.
bet you
Dude,
did.
we need to have a full hour-long conspiracy theory
Yeah.
podcast.
I mean, we
And
tried.
it's gotta
We
be
just
actually
didn't really.
Well,
Conspiracy theory.
we got
not
to make
just conspiracy.
Okay. We'll do that some other time. But
Right.
okay, Brendan.
We each
Brendan,
need to
what's
have
the first
like
topic?
a 10 to 15 minutes of a topic
Spiel.
that we want to talk about and like answer.
I just
anyway.
love the spiel. Spiel.
Spiel.
Schnapps.
Do you say whip?
whip? Cool whip.
Cool hip.
Say cool. Cool. Say whip. Whip. Say cool whip.
Cool whip.
Why are you putting so much emphasis on the H?
Oh, God.
All right, Brendan.
Okay,
Let's
that might
so-
get,
topic,
that might
brother.
get
So my
contact
first
flag,
one-
but-
First topic.
I had this last week and I forgot about it, and I'm super mad that I forgot about it because it's kind of out of the news. But it is about a man who fought a mountain lion. He was
Yes.
attacked by a mountain lion, and he fought the mountain lion off.
he
and
win?
He
Put the
killed, yes,
yeah.
mountain lion
So-
in a stranglehold.
No, not
With
this.
the- no,
That's a
no.
different one. I'm going to
Oh,
bring that
no.
one up. So
Wait, there were
the
two?
one
There were
hit-
two
yes.
men
Yes,
that fought
yes,
mountain
yes.
lions
He's
in
Not
one?
talking
two
about,
men.
I'm pretty sure, fucking killed the mountain
So,
lion with his foot.
the mountain lion, yeah, he's out jogging and he hears a noise. He's not wearing earbuds, and he's also later on.
What kind
he's
of
like,
monster? Hold on. What kind of monster jogs?
He's
without
enjoying nature, the sound of nature.
Serial killers.
But I mean, if he would have, he probably
Mountain
would
lion
have
killers.
heard the noise moving behind him.
No,
enough.
you're,
So-
you're not wrong.
The mountain lion comes at him. He tries to scare it off. He puts his arm up. The mountain lion latches onto his wrist and holds onto it for the rest of the fight. So they roll
Now you
around.
fucked up.
He ends up getting on top of the mountain lion and like bracing down the back leg so he doesn't get scratched, and then using his other foot to stand on his throat and chokes him out using his
Damn.
foot. But
Kills the
after he got
motherfucker.
scratched
right.
all to
his
hell and
face
everything.
is all fucked.
Oh, yeah, he's all messed
he
up.
had he had like a bite mark like right here. There's
Oh, yeah.
like right under your eye. Sorry.
Was there a
we're not
second one?
videoing.
There,
so.
okay, so there's another one. It wasn't a mountain lion. This was a woman in Georgia, I think. It was a bobcat. She was outside, and this bobcat, later on they found out it had rabies, but it attacked her, and she the entire time fighting it,
fucking like
never screamed and never yelled, was
nope,
quiet
just fucking
because
killed the thing.
her 5-year-old granddaughter was inside
Oh,
sleeping, so she
shit.
thought if she screamed, the granddaughter would come outside, and the bobcat would go, oh, shit, another target. I'm going to go eat that thing. and she strangles this son bitch
Oh my
to death.
Dude,
She's a big woman. I mean,
Right.
there's a video of her if you
Right.
look her up.
Yeah.
Dee Phillips was her name. She just fucking grabs this thing and chokes it out, and she's a big ass woman. But I mean, and so that part of that, the whole reason I'm bringing that up is, do you think you could beat a mountain lion or any animal? What animal do you think you could fight up to?
I don't think
Brendan.
What tier of animal?
I
Brendan
don't
is
think
Bernie.
I don't think
Bernie's
I don't
like,
think I
favorite
could
topic.
beat like a lion, but a mountain lion, sure. I could beat a mountain
Yeah,
lion.
in the heat of the moment.
Life or
Especially
death
because
kinda thing,
because
yeah,
you
that
have
because,
that
I mean, that's where
energy,
it's at,
you
yeah.
have
Yeah.
like your
It's all
adrenaline is
adrenaline.
going. And I think what the guy did was perfect. Is just stand on him like a surfboard and sit on his neck.
Yeah, that's
and it's
basically
like,
what
you
he
ain't
did.
going anywhere.
He's
You're,
like-
you're hanging onto my wrist. Fine, that's fine. But
Yeah.
you're dying, so you're gonna die anyway.
He held onto his wrist the whole time apparently.
Right.
And then after
That's
after
that's
he died, he
perfect
finally
for
let
him.
go,
That's
but-
perfect for the guy because it's one spot.
Yep.
Now, if he wasn't, he would have to deal with his face.
It's also perfect for the guy because nobody can ever talk shit to him.
Never.
Ever.
Ever.
Again.
He'll just be like, I
Ever.
killed a mountain
Killed
lion
a
with my bare
goddamn
hands.
mountain
Look me
lion.
up.
You want to die?
You want to fight?
like, let's go.
I choked out a mountain lion. Now I'll choke you out too, bitch.
That is
Yeah,
absolutely
exactly.
ridiculous. I think that if you're running, I'm glad he was vigilant and at least knowing what's going
Well, yeah,
on.
he was like, if I was wearing
Well,
my earbuds or whatever, I
he
would
would
have
be
heard
dead.
the noise behind me because he
Right.
could have come up behind him and latched on his
Yep.
neck, and that's it. He's
Yep.
done.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. Is like, thank God he was vigilant because there would have been no way
Yeah.
he would have survived if he would have
Fuck
jumped on
that.
his
Also,
neck.
I will
He
say,
would've
if
been
I was
dead.
out running and got attacked by a mountain lion, I'm done. I've got no energy.
I'm already,
at that
I'm
point.
already wasted. Yeah.
That guy's probably like Cameron Haynes and runs ultra marathons. If
So-
you know who Cameron Haynes is, he runs ultra marathons.
Just
Yeah.
where it's like multiple marathons put
Dude,
together or whatever. Yeah.
Jesus.
So the thing with that is really convenient, and my, in theory, plan if a wild animal ever attacks, or really anything ever attacks me, and I'm not like super prepared to fight it, is I would have gone for its eyes immediately. And since it's like
Right.
lashed on
Yeah.
right here, it's like, oh, okay, I'm
Right. It'd been like-
great. Now you can't
Oh,
see.
yeah. Okay, there we go.
The crazy thing about wild animals, okay, so like hunting, you're always out in a field and you don't know what's coming next. So
Right.
your dog could point at a rabbit, at the right bird you wanted to point at, or even a raccoon. And if your dog points at a raccoon, there's a brawl.
Yeah.
For some odd reason, for frickin' ever, dogs and raccoons are like the most bitter enemy
Something went
ever.
down.
I
Something
don't
went
know
down in
why.
history.
Yes, exactly.
60,000
Something-
years ago.
Yeah.
Ancient dog empire.
Some
the
wolf
ancient
got fucked over.
raccoon empire.
Till the
The
Fire Nation
craziest
attacked.
thing about wild animals is you could do so much to one of them, and if it's just like a human. If they want to stay alive, they're going to stay alive.
Right.
I have shot raccoons 3 or 4 times, and they're walking off, like, oh, my guts are hanging out, but we're good to
So
go.
you shot the same raccoon 3 or 4
Yeah.
times? Okay.
And it's
Just
walking
want to
away.
make sure you didn't shoot like
Oh, no. I've
raccoons in
shot
general 3
multiple.
or 4 times.
Yeah, he just
I've
stumbled
shot
upon a den and was
multiple
like,
before,
oh my
but-
god, it's hunting season.
No, that's funny you say that because it happened that way.
Oh, okay.
So
Spray
like
and pray.
hunting,
With a shotgun?
spray and pray. Just
That's
point
why
and
you have
shoot.
a shotgun is spray and pray.
Well,
Point and shoot.
it's a lot easier.
Yeah, spray and pray, point and shoot. But we were hunting. Dog went on point. Big ass raccoon came out, and I was like, oh shit. And my brother grabbed the dog, smoked the raccoon. I was like, all right, reload. Raccoon's still rolling around, smoked it again. I was like, okay, that one's done, right? Like, what?
How
what
was
else?
the flavor after you smoked it twice?
Double mesquite
tasted
smoke.
like human.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
What?
Wow. How do you know what that tastes
I don't
like,
know.
Chase?
Ask Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Dear Always
But-
Sunny, what does human taste like?
They'll be able to tell you because
Just send it to Danny DeVito. He'll know.
yeah, exactly. See, he gets it. But then literally
you're Charlie
2
Day,
seconds,
so-
well, I should answer that question. 2 seconds later, this hole's literally maybe 12 inches in diameter. Like not even. It's half that. Maybe
Literally
6
not
inches
even
diameter.
6. I changed a lot there.
Well, hey,
Not
you know how it
even.
Literally
goes.
like
Half
12
8.
inches.
I
It
don't
was
know.
probably
Right.
cold out. Maybe
But it
they
was
were in
about
the water.
6.
Right.
You know, it
no,
shrinks
it
a lot.
wasn't in the water.
Yeah.
I get where you're going with that, but that's
I'm
fucked.
just giving you shit.
And a bigger raccoon came out. This thing literally
The
was-
boss raccoon.
Dude, seriously.
It was his
like
big brother,
fighting-
and you just picked
I
on the little
Son
one.
of a
I
bitch.
literally looked at my
Baby
brother
coon,
and I said,
do-do-do-do-do.
I said, what the fuck? because the other coon's dead over here, and this thing comes out, and I'm like, what the fuck? And my brother's like, oh, shit. So he's like trying to kick the dog away as we're both shooting at this fucking thing. He's like, no, don't attack it. We don't want to shoot you. Like, get away. We want to shoot this thing. We're fucking shooting at the thing. And literally half of its guts are hanging out. This motherfucker crawls down like a little ravine into a lake and swims away.
What?
Yeah,
I have
we
a
shot
feeling
the
he
thing
didn't
like
get
4
to where
times.
he was trying to
Oh
go.
no, I'm pretty sure he died in the water. But we shot. I was like, leaving.
But then there was a third
Going,
raccoon
no.
that was even
And
bigger.
this some
Two.
bitch was
There's
Daddy
only
coon,
two. There's only
do.
two. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if
He
you're
came
in the
back out
wild,
with a shotgun. You said, "You sons of bitches!"
Animals
I mean, they
in
got
the
thumbs.
wild,
They could
they're
do it.
Animals in the wild, they're fucking nuts, and that was fucked, Chris.
Well, see,
that
thing
was
is-
so fucked.
the thing is, though, is that's what happens when people get into that situation. Is you get to that animal state again,
Right.
like the dude who fucking strangled
or
a
death.
mountain lion
Fight
to
or
death.
flight.
With
Yeah.
this
Your
foot.
lizard brain kicks in, and you're like,
And that's
nope.
Here's
fuck everything else.
so. Would you
This is
guys
happening.
fight for your freedom?
Fuck
or
everything
not
else,
fight
and
for your
especially
freedom?
fuck you.
If somebody was on your home turf, like if whatever was in Nebraska,
Are you leading?
you had to fight
Are we-
for your freedom.
Are we in a revolution?
Right. It really depends on the situation, honestly. Because like at one point
Damn,
there were a lot
redcoats
of
taking over our country
Right.
again.
two if land. Was it 2 if by land? 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. No, which it's got to be 1 in Nebraska, right? I mean, fucking
They're coming by
ain't no
sea.
sea
They're coming up the
coming,
goddamn
so-
river.
Dude, just push them off the boat. They'll
Wait.
die in whatever's
Right,
in the Missouri
yeah.
anyway.
We'll
It
be
doesn't
perfect.
matter.
There's
Is that
enough
a ship
chemicals in
sailing
the
across
Missouri.
Zorinsky?
We'll be able to kill them.
How'd they get here?
You gotta come to us to fight.
First of all, we should have seen him backing into Missouri or Zorinsky. First of all,
Yeah,
They
yeah.
dropped their boat.
Bunch of
we're
dudes,
here.
tactical
Shooting
gear, just like
cannons.
launching
what
a
are we
boat.
doing?
No, it would highly depend because there was a lot of. I don't think it got to this point in like the most remote sense, but like somebody that I know who's like really good at coming up with like the most ridiculous worst case scenarios. When the whole Trump Hillary thing was going on during the election or whatever, and it was like, it seemed in whatever circles he ran in online that there might be like a civil war like that breaks out, and I was like, if that
was
happens, I
pretty
don't want
close.
I don't want any part of this
Those
bullshit.
are probably the circles
I'm-
that there's a civil war going to break out every day.
Right.
Kind of thing. Like,
I'm just gonna sit at home. I'm gonna board up my shit with a gun. Don't come anywhere near me.
No, you'll be at my house.
I
It'll
don't
be okay.
feel like. Well, I don't want to fight on either side. Both sides are fucking
No,
stupid.
I won't fight either.
I just wanna
We'll
be at
sitting
home.
here doing
Fuck
this
off.
shit, talking about it,
Yeah.
trying to get people out.
They're like, well, a raccoon was shot outside today
wait, there's one more.
7 times.
Fuck you guys. Brendan, what's your next topic? Let's fucking move on. Fuck this
Yeah,
shit.
let's go.
That went weird. That got
Topic
weird.
number 2: raccoons in the wild.
Weird. Weirdly enough.
Damn it.
They're
Did you guys
fucking
know-
assholes. Let's just say that.
Oh no,
So-
they got thumbs.
Joel gave me the idea for this next one, but
That's
Uh-oh.
gonna
I'll
be
get
the
to it.
title
I'll
of
get
this
to it at
episode
the
is
end.
Raccoons have thumbs.
Can we talk about Robert Kraft?
We'll get there.
All right.
That was going to be my next topic, and
All
then
right.
I
we'll do.
I got
next
rid of
next.
it 'cause I was
What's-
like,
what's
So Joel gave me this idea, but
Yeah, fuck Joel.
the title of it is marrying inanimate objects.
There's been a lot of that
So,
around
yeah,
lately
so-
for some reason.
fucking course.
The last story I heard, not the last, but
Was this the one with the laptop?
recent. No, this one was a woman who married a ghost.
Oh yeah.
She's from Ireland. She is a Jack Sparrow impersonator, and she happened to have been blessed with the presence
no fucking
of
way.
a ghost of a Haitian pirate.
Bullshit.
And so they married, and this was a couple months ago. I heard this, but recently they
She's from where?
Ireland,
Ireland.
and so
Okay.
she apparently had a encounter
Making
with
us
this
look
ghost,
bad.
and then they apparently had ghost and people sex, and so,
So she
Which
really-
fucked
she
herself?
married
It's the
him.
same as
I
a
don't know
vibrator,
if
really.
they-
Not
yeah, I was
pregnant.
like, what?
No.
but they got married, and then now recently they split because they had differences.
because she couldn't prove it.
Yes, yeah, basically.
How does a Haitian pirate end up in Ireland?
In Ireland, yeah.
That's
well,
what I'm wondering.
he hopped on his boat and said, "I'm gonna go out and find me some Ireland woman."
I got to go find me Captain
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow.
Arr!
I found Captain
Is
Jack
Caribbean
Sparrow.
spelled with 2 R's or 2 B's?
What?
2 R's. I don't know.
Sparrows?
2 R's, 2 D's.
No,
I
Caribbean.
don't know.
Oh,
I
Caribbean.
think it's 2 R's.
Caribbean.
We
Sorry.
Caribbean,
All
the
right.
Caribbean
Everyone-
Ocean.
I honestly-
Everyone mute their mics
I
while we try to
honestly
find this
didn't
out because we
hear
sound
what you
stupid.
said at all. I just
spelled
did
it completely
2
wrong
R's.
on podcast, so it's okay.
Actually, I think it is
I'm-
2 R's, 2 B's, isn't
I
it?
just wrote a note for myself because I want to try to put something in the background of Brendan's
Carib?
story
B?
because I think it would be hilarious. And we're not monetized anyway, so
Dude,
fuck content.
so what's crazy about that fucking story is like, how do you like? I'm gonna marry the couch or your car.
People
or
do that. I
shit like
when
A
I went
woman
to
married
search
the,
the history on this to like get the actual story because I knew the story. I just wanted
Right.
background information. I went to search. I said woman marries, and there was a list of things women have married. And I'm like, are you serious? And I know men have done it too, but it was like, oh my god.
Well, there was a dude who married his
People.
laptop recently.
That's
There's
fucking
another
ridiculous.
thing. There was a
dude.
woman who
I
married
mean,
like
it
a
has
train
everything
station.
you need.
A train
Yeah, I
station?
saw that.
Yeah.
That popped
How
up.
do you marry
Yeah.
a full train station? So does
don't know,
she
dude.
get? Does she get like some money from the train
I was
station?
okay. So when you
Or what?
file for marriage,
So this
like,
woman, she went out into international waters. They did it out in the ocean,
Oh.
so that's
So it's
why
not
it
legal
was
in any
legal.
Oh, okay.
That's why no one was
countries,
like,
okay.
That's
whatever.
fair.
Well, so,
Because,
so
like,
here's the
how do you
thing,
marry
like,
So
a
did they
train
find
station.
did they find the actual Captain Jack Sparrow and have him marry them on his
No,
ship? Because they could do
she
that?
was
Fucking
Jack
awesome.
Sparrow. Damn it!
Oh, does she married
She's
herself
Jack
to
Can
Sparrow.
the
this
captain
ghost?
marry themselves on their own ship?
I don't
You
know. I don't
maybe
know. I
she
don't
wasn't
know
on her
maritime
own
ship.
ship.
Yeah,
Why
I know
can't
pirate
they?
law. Yeah.
She wasn't on her own ship.
Why can't they?
Well, because generally the person performing the ceremony can't be in the ceremony.
Correct. So you couldn't
on
marry.
your
You
own
couldn't be
ship,
your own.
The captain would be performing the ceremony.
There's
Yes.
a whole bunch of logistics.
So that's why I
here
was saying, could the captain marry
that
themselves?
We don't know.
Yeah,
on
we
a
don't
ship.
know. I don't
So
know
you
why
couldn't-
you'd marry a ghost anyway. But
She did it.
so does
She
she
did
get money? Like
somehow.
how's this
From a
work?
ghost? Nah.
Well, right. That's
She
what
just
I'm
got.
saying.
She got the.
She got
She
fucked.
got
the
some
pirate's
ghost.
curse.
She got some.
Barbarossa's curse.
No, she got some ghost dick, and she was hooked. I didn't have to go there, but I did.
You didn't.
That's what she said. She said
Holy
we had.
shit.
They started having encounters, and where they just meet each other, and then they finally had sex, and
What?
This bitch is tripping
Yeah.
on LSD.
She
or
said-
some
she's
shit.
on cocaine.
she was
She's
raised
on
in the
meth.
Ireland
She's on
culture
something.
that the quote was, "If the man beds you, he should wed you." That was the
The
quote.
Ireland culture is pretty much Christianity. There
And-
you go.
And alcohol.
Times
but-
12.
Well,
Well,
I mean, you
and
got to be
alcohol.
specific, and I never remember which one because Catholicism and Protestantism
Well,
are technically
fair.
both parts
But
of
it's
Christianity.
Irish Catholicism.
Right. That's okay. That
And
makes sense.
it
I'm an
is
idiot.
extreme.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm pretty sure she probably would have been like, "You're a witch. We're gonna drown
She's
you."
crazy.
No, there's also there's a lot of like historically like pagan culture or not cultures, but like peoples in like Native
Peoples?
Ireland. Because I mean, Catholicism wasn't there
Right.
forever, right?
Well,
so
correct, but I mean, London pretty much had it forever. So or England, sorry, not
Yeah.
London. London's city in England, but England had it, and it's
Right.
just north of that. So
But also another example I have of the same thing, marrying inanimate objects. It's just more recent.
Hold on, real quick.
God, I'm
I
just
keep-
trying
I
to talk
keep
about my
interrupting you.
story.
No, I looked it up. Most places actually don't allow captains to marry on their own ships. Period.
this is what we. Holy fuck. Okay, so
but can you perform your own marriage ceremony?
Yeah,
I
'cause
didn't look that up. I just
because
looked up captains.
If you're
So-
gonna come at us with facts,
most
come at us with facts.
most countries actually just like, no, you cannot perform marriages on like ships from this country, kind of thing.
So, but so if you owned your own ship, and you are,
But you have to fly it under a certain country's flag, otherwise, technically, you're a pirate.
Fair enough. Fair point. So
Fly under the flag of
United
Sealand.
States, even though you are a
Sealand,
It's a real
certified
place.
marriage person,
marriage person,
Go on.
ordained.
But you're outside
You're
the jurisdiction of the
ordained.
United States of America.
you can marry. But if you're inside
Well,
the
so
jurisdiction,
I mean,
you
that's the
can't.
thing is, we go out in international waters, and I can say,
We can do whatever the hell
you're
we
married,
want.
and you're married.
I'm gonna
cool,
marry.
I'm ordained.
gonna
You're
marry
Yeah,
married.
but
Good
you're
job.
ordained in
But
the
you don't
United
even need-
States.
But
Right.
there's no signed paperwork that's
Exactly.
being reported back.
Marriage-
The U.S. would say, where
okay.
did this take place? What were the
That's fair.
witnesses?
Okay,
It took place in international waters. Sorry, yeah, we're not taking
okay.
that.
Marriage is as
That's
much.
what I was getting at. But you can do your own.
Because there's a difference between
he probably can't.
marriage between like marrying two people or being legally married in the eyes of
Right.
the government.
Right.
There's a difference
Right,
there.
right,
Right. Marriage is as much about the biblical sense of the word marriage, which is what
Correct.
everybody's like. Marriage is between a man and a woman, blah blah blah, and the legal definition, which is what people who are like, same-sex couples should be allowed to get married
Also,
in the legal sense.
I googled,
Correct.
can you marry? And the first response was yourself.
What's
The
answer?
second was your sister.
Oh. Oh.
Shit.
Yeah.
What's
Keep going with your example.
so anyways,
Brendan.
the next one was more recent.
And these are all saying
I
like
knew it was
I
coming.
want.
I watched his
Yeah, I
mouth.
saw
I
your-
watched
saw
him
your eye.
reading, and I was like, God damn it.
It's
here
all
he
like no.
comes.
I want to not. I want to perform a marriage ceremony for myself. It's I want to marry myself.
actually.
Like yeah, that's what all these are.
What?
So
What's the answer? I mean,
The answer is no.
no.
You
what
cannot.
the fuck?
So, yeah, well, I mean, until recently, same-sex marriage wasn't legal, so you'd be
Trying
a
to help
dude
out my
marrying a
tax
dude.
returns.
There we go. Can you marry
My
yourself to
tax
another person?
returns.
Joint file.
Yeah, it didn't work out very
Did
well
you
for me and my
joint
wife.
file?
So
That's
No,
not what
no,
I
he's
asked.
not
gonna say,
legally allowed
Jesus
to.
Christ.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, unless he's secretly legally married.
Well,
and just didn't tell
yeah,
anybody.
didn't tell us, motherfucker.
Should we call
It was-
Cassidy right now?
it was
I mean, she's
cheaper
been on this
that way.
podcast before.
It was cheaper that way.
No, you cannot sign a marriage
Absolutely.
certificate in two places.
Oh, all right. Well, that's an interesting
Stupid.
way to
What if you-
put that restriction in. But yeah, that makes sense. It works.
There's ways around it. What if one
And then so somebody
What
asked
if you
this in,
sign
like,
it,
your
change
middle
your name
name.
legally.
Somebody
and then
asked
sign
this
it
in like
again.
a forum, right? About like, can I perform my own marriage? First one says no, you can't sign it. Second one says, if you can lawfully marry couples, why is it that you're unaware of your own state's laws regarding this? Probably because I signed up online and it took 3 seconds to get my
Did it at the bar top.
ordination.
Right.
Yeah,
And I'm
You
pretty.
literally did do it at the bar.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure
Exactly.
that even like priests and shit don't have to go through any specific like
No.
legal
No,
like
you don't have to have
training
training or
be.
anything.
I
All
mean, it's
they
just-
got to do
it's
is
just generally
go through
they
church for
learn it
1,000 years.
as part of what they're doing.
Yeah,
but-
that's fair. But all right, what's the other thing?
Oh, it's
Brendan.
just the same exact thing.
Oh, but then,
someone.
no,
God
I'm
damn it!
kidding.
It's just the same type of deal where this woman recently married her zombie doll. I don't know if anyone else has seen
Like
it, but
Chucky?
It's literally a doll with a zombie deformed face. It's disgusting.
What
I mean,
the
you can look
fuck?
up pictures of it. It's disgusting. But
I've
she
not heard of this
married.
one.
It's a female doll, but the female doll took the male role, and now they are looking into.
So is it a same-sex marriage?
It is
or
a same-sex. Well, I don't know. It is, but it's a doll at the same time. So, but
Well,
anyways,
does the doll
they're
have a
now
vagina
searching
or a
out.
penis?
I
How
don't
does
know.
the doll identify? Has anybody
As a
asked
zombie
it?
doll, that's it. But anyways,
Yeah.
they're looking for a sperm bank so they can raise children together. That is
Huh.
from the horse's mouth.
Do you have to?
This is fucked.
Do you have to
Could you
pass a psych eval to get
Okay,
stuff
Could
from
you
a sperm bank?
imagine being
So,
that
I'm
kid?
assuming most of these cases that you're hearing are not from the U.S., right?
This is in the U.S.
Oh, it is.
This
Okay.
one, yes.
So
Which state?
This one,
okay, so two of you know this. When you get married legally, what benefits do you get out of that?
From a legal standpoint, it makes it a lot
Or
easier
I mean,
for
like
powers of
taxes and that
attorney
kind
and
of
stuff.
Okay,
So there's some legal things that go with it, like if I was in a coma
do you get any
and
like
I wasn't married to my wife.
tax breaks or anything like that?
Not really. They change your. I mean, kind of. I
The-
guess it
the
depends on how
amounts
you
that
want to.
like
Your
joint
your
versus solo.
your
filing
bracket
kind of
changes.
thing, yeah.
Your tax bracket changes.
from
But,
Massachusetts.
So
She's from Massachusetts,
Okay.
by the way.
Oh,
so but generally, if you file jointly, then the amount that you need to file to go up, like the like for a single person, it's $40,000.
Right,
For
let's
a
just
couple,
say.
it's 75, whatever. Like,
And that's still the same. Call it 10%.
so okay,
bracket,
so say
right?
you're marrying an inanimate object that's bringing in no income, right?
right.
So you're only. I mean, I guess you're helping yourself kind of because if you make more money, you have the better tax bracket.
Hey,
Right,
this
obviously-
is a perfect segue.
Obviously, the brackets are like just to make it super simplistic. Because
I mean,
don't
I
know
understand
off the top
how
of
it
my head.
works. Like,
But 10
it's
to 30
only
is
on
X amount.
that-
30
yeah.
to or 30 and 1 is to 60 is X amount, and then like on the married side, it might be 10 to 40 is this one, and then 40 and 1 to 80 is this one.
yeah.
So if you make the amount of money that's in that overlap, it would be more beneficial for you
Okay.
to be married
yeah.
because you'd be taxed at a lower rate. However, I don't know if marriage to an inanimate object is legally like sound.
Well, and that's the other thing is that like if there
Because
wasn't like a tax
that object
loophole
can't sign
or
the
like
paperwork.
if there wasn't exactly that's the other part. Like you have
They
to
aren't
sign
a
license.
registered
So,
citizen.
no.
So how
Right.
could
There's
they?
no
but
legal
I mean,
way
that's
that
the
they
thing.
could sign that
Legally,
document.
yeah, you have to sign a document, and there have
Right.
to be two witnesses as well. Like,
Right. Oh, is that so? How did she get two people who were insane enough to go along with this.
I don't know if it
witness
was
this thing.
legit. They had, I don't know. I have no idea if it's
Or is it
actually
just
legit,
we're married in the eyes of God?
or if it was
kinda
just a
thing,
story like, hey, look at this crazy lady.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
marrying a
Clickbait,
doll.
yeah.
Now
Could
she
you just
wants
be-
babies.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if there isn't like tax loopholes, or if there isn't like you're not defrauding anybody or hurting anybody else,
Yeah.
fuck it, do you?
It's
Yeah,
just
whatever.
weird people
Marry your
being-
fucking wall.
being
I don't
weird
give a
people.
fuck.
Yeah. Doesn't really matter.
I mean, I guess.
Hey, could you also hit me with one of them?
Oh, no.
What's your next
He's gonna
topic, or which are we
launch that
segueing
fucking thing
into
at you.
Trace's topic?
Oh, if
because Trace said it was a perfect segue.
Yeah,
so we're
into
talking
what,
about
you
tax
talking about
brackets.
taxes or
bottom,
something?
bottom first.
Yeah, use bottom first.
Always use the bottom first.
Heyo. Reach in the bottom.
Zing.
Pull out 2. Yeah, do you want me to go on mine or?
Yeah, go on yours.
Okay.
Well, what was your perfect segue?
I think we passed it.
Money.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
You were talking about money and.
I thought it was about taxes
Nah.
specifically.
Yeah,
we
that
can
was-
talk about
yeah,
money
yeah,
anytime.
Let's let him
Okay.
do it. Let's
Okay.
let him do it. Let him do it.
and
All right.
Fucking
This is
Robert
still
Kraft
good.
speaking about money. How much
Oh,
money-
yeah, there we go.
You're a billionaire and you have to go to an Asian rub and tug.
Maybe
You don't
just
have to. You
maybe
just happen to be there.
happen
No
to be there and was
bullshit.
like, you know what,
he
fuck
knew
it.
good
Yeah,
and
why
well.
not?
He knew good and goddamn well what the fuck was going on.
Maybe.
You got
So-
2 misdemeanors.
Well, apparently
if-
he didn't because he solicited and somebody turned him in.
Yeah,
So whoever he
true.
solicited
no,
from was like,
the
no,
only
I don't do
reason
that.
he
There
got
was a
turned in is
sting.
because there was a video. There was a sting.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he
Ah.
got caught. Nobody would turn him in. Supposedly, he's not even the most prominent person on that list.
What I'm confused about, I'm not very
Is Jeff
educated.
Bezos
I didn't
is he
read
the other
about
guy on the list?
I don't
probably. I
Is
didn't
that
read
why?
a lot about it, but
know. Maybe.
they were all up in arms about it being, a sex trafficking incident. where-
Right. That's what was one of the
But
first
if
things
they
I heard
were
about it.
if it was such a huge deal where, oh my God, they're sex trafficking, why did they have videos set up to catch someone asking for a handy, and they just didn't run in there and go, hey, these girls are being sex trafficked, and stopped it right there? I'm
Right.
just confused. I mean, I
Or,
didn't read very.
why, and I understand the sting
don't know.
aspect, but
How
like-
did they get cameras into this place?
But you haven't done
to-
anything else to stop it at that
Right,
point.
yeah, at that
Like,
point, why didn't you just...
I mean, there's
before
something
this
to be
happened.
said, and it's a moral dilemma. It's one of those things because
Did they just need proof?
the British? So I'm going to use a really kind of obscure example, but in World War II, the British had broken the Enigma code, and the Germans didn't know that they had broken it, and the Germans had sent some communication saying that they were going to bomb a specific city, and the British were like, "Well, do we evacuate the city, and thus tipping the Germans off to knowing that we've broken the code, or do we do nothing but keep the secret of us knowing
True.
the code?" And eventually they did nothing, which obviously, the ends justify the means, right? So they obviously it was the better decision in the
Yeah,
grand
yeah, yeah.
scheme of
But then
things.
looking at it like that means
But
that
looking
they
at
were
just
waiting,
that one event,
they were
it's
waiting
like,
for Robert Kraft to come along, and then
Right.
they're like, "Ha! We got you!"
Right.
Ah, look at all these other people.
Yeah.
We've never
That
heard
they
about it
never said
until
names of or
Robert
anything.
Robert
Kraft.
Kraft,
Yeah.
but he's not the only prominent person.
Exactly.
And the
So
only
if
reason
they had
we-
a list, like what were they waiting on this list for? Like,
They were
got
probably
'em.
Well, and that's the thing
it
is
probably
that-
got leaked is what happened,
Well-
or they finished their investigation and were like, "Here's what
You're
we
the
got."
you're the 100th handy. Ha ha!
You get a
Robert
free
Kraft.
balloon.
It was $59 for a
Gotcha,
rub and
ass.
tug. What
So-
are we doing?
Also, I feel like $59 is a little out there.
I've
for
never
one of them
gone
Asian places.
and gotten a
like,
massage in the first place, so I don't know.
I feel like a massage is $50 generally. Like,
I don't know.
I've paid more for that, or more than that, for all of my massages.
well, I honestly don't know. I've never gotten a massage.
I've
so
only
I don't
gotten
know.
I've only gotten 2. I did a couples massage once. It was in Omaha somewhere, and that was
Somewhere.
somewhere.
Say it. Massages are us.
Oh fuck, that's funny.
That's where you pay for a rub and tug.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
I want to isolate that.
But no,
'cause
but
that
I mean-
sounded great.
But I mean,
Is it?
like 50
It was
bucks,
New
60
Use
bucks?
Spa.
Somewhere.
It was
bucks?
more than that. It was like $200
Fucking
for the both of us.
somewhere.
for 2 people. So
And then the only other massage I've ever gotten was in Germany, so I don't
Hey-o.
really have a good reference
but,
point here.
I mean, I've looked at like there's a couple places around town that you can go online and just schedule an appointment kind of thing, and it's always like $60, $50 for like I don't know, half hour, whatever it is. So
Massages
I
are
feel
great,
like
by the way.
Shit's
if you're already
expensive. No, it's like $80.
but if
for
you're
an
already
hour.
paying like okay, so even if you're
$100
paying
an
$80 for an hour, you're not going to pay an extra $60 on top of that just for a handy. Like
yeah, you are obviously.
Some
A
people.
billionaire
I mean,
just did it,
like-
so
I find it hard to believe that he's paying what is that, $140 for
Right.
for a handy.
are you kidding me?
He's a
First of all,
billionaire. He
why
could
would
pay.
you do
also,
that?
He could pay
also,
primo bucks for
here's
way
the-
better than
That's
that.
what I'm saying. So
Here's the
why
other
wouldn't
part.
you just do that?
here's the other part, yeah. if Robert Kraft is going to get a massage, he's not going to go get an $80 massage at some random Asian parlor.
So then why was he there?
Exactly.
He's
That's
there.
the thing. Something else was happening.
He's a repeat
$60
customer.
for a handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, something else was going on
Just $60 for a handy.
But in general,
Or
I
it was
feel
something
like,
else.
based on my experience watching Law and Order SVU and that alone, if it's something like a sex trafficking ring, the cops don't usually just let it operate and then catch people doing it. That's shit you do with like coke dealers.
They said
and
it
pot
could
dealers
be
and
a
those
sex trafficking ring.
Yeah, it's probably not. Because
Oh.
if the authorities were aware of it already and like had investigated it,
And
I mean,
also,
maybe it could be. I guess.
What were
but
the authorities?
shit
Was it
happens
the
all the time.
FBI? Was it
FBI.
okay?
And,
Because
oh my God,
like
what is the
you're
Florida
getting busted
police
for a rub and tug,
police
it's going to be like
department down
a local police
there?
department,
It's
not
it starts
not-
with J.
Jacksonville.
the
Well,
FBI.
supposedly this woman, that one of the women that was
Jalop.
involved, had she was
Jupiter?
arrested in New York
Jupiter. Something.
from some kind of sex trafficking ring, I guess. So
Like
she had been
was
arrested
running it.
for I don't know exactly. I mean, I'm just going off of memory of what I've heard.
I
so
mean, from
could
the
be
loosest
completely
like
wrong.
legal definition, you could call prostitution sex trafficking, even
Well,
if the people
correct.
who are the prostitutes
She had history
not,
in
like,
something
under
like
duress.
this before. So
right.
right.
But even then, why are
I mean,
you
it-
a billionaire
in the most
going
legal
there?
or the most literal sense, it is exactly what it is.
For
it's
a
sex
reason.
trafficking.
Well, yeah, I get. Okay, so there was a meme about this today that I saw,
Yeah.
and it said he's 77 years old, lost his wife to cancer last year, paid his foundation paid $400+ million to
some kind of charity.
charities, and he's won 6 of the last 12 Super Bowls. If anybody deserves an Asian rub and tug, it's Rob.
Damn.
And my thing is you're a billionaire. You could be sitting in fucking New York or Boston, wherever you are, and you could have the best of the best brought to you from somewhere across
But it's
the
still the
world.
same thing, though. It's still you're paying
Right.
for.
But
its
nobody would
prostitution.
know.
Maybe it's
Nobody
not about.
would know it.
Maybe it's not about the necessarily the quality of it. Maybe it's just about the experience. I mean, you people all the time go to like really shitty food places just to have the food there, just to be like, okay, I went
True.
to this
I
place.
go to a shitty massage
He's-
parlor. I
So
want a
he's
shitty
never
hand
been
job.
to-
Go through-
exactly.
It says Orchids of Asia. One of their things on their window said fucking table showers. What does that mean?
It's waterboarding
Shower
is what it
while
is.
you're on the table. Yeah.
Table showers.
Yeah. They take a towel, they put it over your face, and then they just keep dousing you
And
with
then
water.
when they're drying you off, they just keep drying in one spot over
This
and over
spot
and
is
over.
wet.
That spot's really
And then it gets
wet.
more wet, and then they got to clean it up again. Yeah.
Yeah, but they use a they use a
God.
different towel for that. They use like a baby wipe. Jesus.
God. Are we done with that? Is that it?
Yeah, I think we're done
Do you
talking
think
about a
prostitution
77-year-old
should be
getting a
legal?
hand job.
Should prostitution be legal?
Absolutely.
If-
Regulated.
Well,
in-
yeah, yeah.
Isn't
Well, I
it
mean,
legal?
obviously in
No.
I
In
mean,
some
well,
places.
no, I'm saying, like, think about it here, Chris. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for saying this, but you're
Oh,
married,
boy.
correct?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
All right.
Oh, boy.
So, when you get married, you spend a lot of fucking money for one simple thing you're trying to do. That technically
I mean, I
is
guess.
prostitution.
But the only difference between prostitution and porn is a camera.
I'm not talking about porn.
I know.
Literally.
But that's, I mean, we're talking about the
So
most
the
basic
difference
definition
between
of prostitution.
Prostitution and marriage is a ring? That's what you're
No.
saying?
No, it's a legal contract not signed outside in international waters
But
by an
that's-
ordained minister.
that's
That
what
is
you're
what
There
that
it
is.
is.
saying,
There
though.
it is.
But that's what you're
We got
saying,
it. We
essentially.
figured it out.
I mean, no, I'm just saying if somebody wants to
We
get their
solved
rocks
the
off white,
problem.
and if somebody wants to fuck and somebody wants to get fucked, and they want to be like, hey, I'll pay you if you want to fuck me because
So what should
maybe
it
I'm
matter?
not maybe I'm not as attractive as what you're used to. Like, here's $20 extra.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
cool.
I think
Awesome.
so.
Yeah.
I think it absolutely should be because there's a lot of problems. I mean, and there's a lot of arguments to be made. And actually, I know somebody who is like a huge advocate for this. Like she's in politics and stuff. That is
she's
like,
for
pushing
or
for that.
against.
It's more about just sex workers in general. So
Porn stars,
porn stars,
and that kind of stuff, yeah.
cam girls, prostitutes, all of that. Make it more because when it's legal, it's more safe too.
Yes.
Especially because you can regulate things like
Yep.
that, and if it's legal, then you have the recourse to be able to go to the
sue
legal
somebody
system
or something like
and
that. Yeah.
because if somebody fucks you, doesn't pay you, beats the shit out of you, and then leaves you on the curb, like.
Yep.
What, you don't have anything to go on. I
Yep.
mean, except maybe that he assaulted you, but the police are going to ask questions.
Why? And then yeah.
Right, and
Yeah,
it's
I
going to
mean,
be
you're
like,
gonna
well,
get arrested
you were
for-
soliciting
But and that's the thing
sex.
is that it's not difficult to get around. Like, well, I guess it is because you have to do like more paperwork and kind of stuff. But yeah, pull out a camera and say, oh, we were making a porno. Yep.
So speaking of legal loopholes like that, I as part of so at my job, I got a ticket. I'm in IT. I got a ticket saying, hey, I can't get to this website. Right. It's blocking me, or every time I go to it, it like downloads this weird file, and I don't know what it is. So I did what I had to do to fix it. But as part of that, I was like, well, I can't reproduce the issue here because I don't have a login to this site, and it's gated with these credentials. So he sent me the credentials, and I logged into the site, and the first thing that popped up, because this is like a forum site for like the local police blotter, and like reporters and stuff will share stories back and forth. So the first thing that pops up is a story about how a guy was robbed at this gas station, and he called, he flagged down a cruiser that was nearby. It was like, hey, these guys robbed me. They just sped off with all my money or whatever. So they go chase the guys down. They pull them over, and they are like, well, we were just told that you robbed these people or whatever. And he's like, well, they just sold me drugs. They sold me marijuana. They're in a state where it's not legal. So they're like, oh, really? He sold you weed. Interesting. So they went back to the gas station to try to find the dude. The dude's gone. So normally you hear stories about people who are like, he robbed me. I tried to sell him weed and he didn't give me any money. But it was actually true, but the dude just left. Like the police didn't take the dude's name. They didn't take any information about him.
Did they do anything with the guys that bought the weed in the car?
Yeah, I think they confiscated the weed and the money.
Oh, shit.
But... or at least the weed.
But, when it comes
but the
to
dude who
certain
called the cops
family
on him, they're
members,
just like,
we're going to throw him in jail.
Well, we don't talk about that here. Also, he's fine.
Enough.
He's fine. I'll talk about it later, but it's A-okay.
Interesting.
But yeah, so that was funny. That was like the first thing that showed up. Like the link that I clicked on didn't even have any, like it was just the URL, like just the domain of the site. Like it didn't have any additional stuff. It's just that's where it went to for some reason. I'm like, huh, this is a funny story. So I took a screenshot of it and sent it to my friends. So I was like, here we go. This is what's happening in wherever this is. I'm not going to say where it is.
Say it.
Yeah, don't do that.
Say it.
The South. So,
South Horizon again.
Jesus Christ.
It was in Florida.
I had another probably.
Right.
It was in Florida.
Florida man.
I had it was
100%.
Florida man.
Infamous Florida man.
I had some other segue I wanted to do on that, but actually I'm going to bring this up now that I'm thinking about it. So my topic that I wrote in here, because I only had the one.
I bring one topic.
Oh
Which I
no,
wrote.
Brendan!
What
I already had a page for 227.
Why would you rewrite?
227?
Well,
That's today.
rewrite it.
Anyway,
Fair enough.
Copy my notes.
I want to. I'm not doing that. It's going to take us
Big baby.
forever to get through this book, so it'll be fine. Maybe not, so we don't use this side.
Whatever, curly Q mustache.
This one's
Oh,
falling
wow.
off over here.
So I want to talk about all of the broken / shitty first things that you had, like your first car, for instance.
Oh,
So
boy.
I have
Let's
I have an
go.
example
Me too.
from
Brendan
my first
has
car.
6 examples.
6 examples.
No, just one. Stupid.
So my first car was owned by my brother, my older brother, previously. Many people don't know that I have an older brother.
Christ, I didn't even know you had an older
He is my half brother. He's from a previous relationship on my dad's side, and
Take
I
Drink
had
a Busch
a.
What's really funny right
I had
now,
a-
sorry to interrupt
what's his
you,
name?
but 3 of us are drinking Busch Light. Matt's drinking fucking Jameson and ginger ale.
Can't do beer.
I think we need to be sponsored by Busch Light. Busch Light, get us the fucking sponsor already.
Bush.
Let's go.
So it was a Ford Probe. It was red.
Ooh,
it was a
those
90
things
93.
fucking suck.
Yeah. I actually really do want another Probe again. I really, really, really liked that car. The only thing I would change about it, though, is I would put a different transmission in it, because everything else about that car was great, except the transmission, which is why I ended up having to get rid of it. So it was a Ford Probe, and actually it had the transmission rebuilt before I got it.
My brother owned one.
Yeah. So it was a great car.
That. I remember that
It was
one.
gray.
Yeah.
You got fucking rear end.
Oh.
Well,
hardcore.
Yeah.
It got probed. Hey-o.
It did. Woohoo. So
Wait, was that the neighbor across the street from me, right? Hit him, and then his buddy backed out of the driveway
That was
into
when
them.
he owned the Kia Rio.
Okay.
that thing falls apart if you look at it funny. So I'm
Hey,
not
you know
surprised.
what? That's what happens when your parents buy your brother a brand new car, and then when you turn 16, $1,000. We'll
Yeah.
get you.
And what kind of car was that?
Subaru Legacy,
What year?
1993.
Damn.
Rusted out.
Wait,
shook at
what year did you get this car?
2008
or 9.
8 or 9.
Yeah. Okay.
Shook at 45 miles per hour.
Oh my god.
It had the fucking seatbelts when you close the door that moved up.
Oh no.
But the one, it was two separate. So it had one
no.
go up and a
Stood
lap
that.
belt. And then the one broke. So you had to like leave it up there and hook it and then lap belt
forgot
yourself.
that.
Oh my
my
God.
God. It was such shitty. Nobody would let me drive because they were too afraid we were going to
Well,
fucking wreck.
yeah.
Well,
Not because I'm a bad driver, but because
from
The
the
car
bottom.
started shaking.
Brendan
Now we're here.
knows.
Yeah. So
yeah,
hell
started
yeah.
from the bottom. Now I own a fucking big ass truck, so suck it.
So this car had some issues. Obviously, it wouldn't shift out of park before it got moved to me. The key for this car, because my brother, as much as I have inherited my dad's temper, my brother got it worse. So one day, he was probably a little bit drunk when he did this too, because he's significantly older than me. One day he was trying to start the car, and you know how sometimes you don't anymore really, because, well, at least I don't, because I have a push button start, so I don't
Hey-o.
put my key in my car at all. But you know how like when
Put
you
your
used
key
to
in
own a
anything,
car,
do you?
not really. You know, you used to own a car that you had to put the key in the ignition. You would always
Right.
like you put it in and turn like all in one motion. Like once you got used to it,
Yep.
you could just be like boop. Well, he was trying to do this, and he must have been impaired or something, because he just fucking broke the key in the ignition.
He brought the key.
This is
He
legit.
brought the fucking key.
This is legit the
Brought-
key that I
He brought
used
the
to start
key.
my car, because it still worked. The rest of the key was still the ignition. As long as you put this in the right way, it would push it all the way into the ignition, and you could turn it and start it.
No fucking way.
And-
so what'd you do with that fucking car?
Yeah, wait.
'Cause
I
you
have so
the
many
key.
questions.
Hold on.
So what
The
did they
car-
do? Where'd the car go?
So-
and how do they start it?
I had this key for a long time, for probably
You're
about
an
a year.
asshole for
A year?
taking that part
A
of the
year.
Did you
key.
mail
A
it
year
to
and
the
a half.
people?
No, hold on.
Did
So
they
for
mail
about
it back? I
for-
mean, there's so many questions.
for about a
Gave him the
year and
car
a
back,
half
said, keep your
that I
money
owned
and
this
keep
car.
the fucking car.
because I owned it like for 2.5 years maybe. So about a year and a half I owned this car. I just dealt with this because it actually was kind of funny, because I could, because I'm really paranoid about locking my keys in my car. So if I wanted to warm my car up in the wintertime, I just turn it on, take the keys out, and walk home. It was really great, because then
That's
then the
fucking
doors
awesome.
could be locked.
Right.
So this car also
But how
had.
would you unlock the door?
Hold on, because I had a separate door key, because the door key wasn't broken.
Oh, okay.
So,
I
and
forgot
actually, I'm going to
about
get to that. So, this car also the flex pipe right out of the cylinder heads, like right when it goes into the exhaust system.
The exhaust manifold.
No, it was not the manifold. It was literally the part was called the flex pipe,
Oh,
but it
shit.
basically went manifold this piece and then the rest of the exhaust, right? Well, this piece was rusted out, so all of my just exhaust was coming straight out of the headers, basically.
Sounded badass.
It sounded terrible because
Badass.
it was a 2.5 liter V6, so it sounded like shit. Also,
Sound like a golf cart. running
if I
around.
sat still for too long, I started to get lightheaded.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you did.
So
Hey, I feel you in my Jeep. In the Jeep I used to. I was
Yeah.
like, I should probably drive.
yeah,
I'm getting sleepy.
so I finally got that fixed. It was like $700 fixed because it was like a pain in the ass to get
Jesus
that to get to
Christ.
where it was to fix it. It was like a $30 piece that needed to be replaced, but it was so expensive. So one day, with my door key that I use to unlock the car that has the half key in the ignition, I broke the door key off in the door. So I had
Were
to
you able
have
use the same trick and kind of
no, that didn't work. I tried
Okay.
that. So I had to call a locksmith, and he comes and he extracts the key and he makes me a new key. And I was like, hey, I've had this key stuck in my ignition for as long as I can remember, longer than I've owned the car. Do you think you could get it out? And he was like, he was really intrigued by the story. He's like, so it works with that in there? I was like, yeah, here's the key that I use. You just put it in there the right way and you turn it and it turns on. He's like, all right, if I can get it out, $10. And I was like, okay. So we went in there and like 7 minutes later, he had the rest of the key pulled out. I was like, fucking sweet. So for the rest of the time I owned that car, I didn't need this key, so I kept it. I kept it separate.
Okay, all right.
So I
It
had a
all
full
comes
key
back
for a while.
around.
Yeah. So that car, I moved to Houston for about a month in 2010.
Jesus.
One of the worst mistakes of my life. So
No shit.
yeah, I won't talk about that on the podcast, but I'll be happy to discuss it with you later. So I think you might know this story already. So I moved to Houston in 2010, and I lived there for about a month. And part of the reason I only lived there for a month was because my car's transmission exploded on I-10
Oh, that's right.
in the middle of October in Houston, where it was still like 100 degrees out and like 100% humidity. The only place I've ever lived in my life with worse humidity than Omaha. Houston.
Well,
Which is in the subtropical area, which tells you a lot
Yes.
about Omaha. So it exploded on I-10. Me and my friend at the time had to push it to a parking lot, like because it died on an off ramp at least. So we had a little bit of an incline, then we get some speed up, and then we could push it into the parking lot. But when the tow truck came and lifted it up, it was just pouring transmission fluid on the ground, just like a straight up stream, like somebody turned on a faucet. Also, if you've never smelled burnt transmission fluid, avoid it at all costs. It smells like
terrible.
somebody took like ripped dingleberries out of somebody's asshole,
Jesus
like
Christ.
pubic hair and everything, and then set it on fire. That's what it smells like.
That is an image.
Yeah, it
That
certainly
That's
is, isn't it?
disgusting.
Yeah. So if you can avoid smelling burnt transmission fluid, please do. So I sold. This story's not over yet. I sold.
Oh, hold on.
I sold this car. What?
So, never mind. Just go.
So
Go.
I got on
We'll
Craigslist
figure this out
and I
later.
sold this car to a guy named Guillermo.
Guillermo.
in Houston, and for $300 he bought my Ford Probe. By the way, the passenger side window didn't roll up or down anymore because the cable was broke. So there's a
Was
piece
it
of wood
stuck?
in it.
Ah,
There's a
whatever.
piece. Yes,
All right,
there was a
that's
piece
good,
of
that's
wood
good.
in it connected to the little like plastic piece that's at the bottom of your window. I don't know if you've ever seen what a window looks like on the inside.
Right.
Pushed to keep it up the whole time. Couldn't roll down that window. Transmission exploded. Car was quote unquote red because it was so faded that it was basically pink. And I loved this car. So I sold it to a guy named Guillermo who's going to repaint it, put a new transmission in it for his daughter for her 16th birthday or whatever. It's going to be her first car. So I don't know if this is the same chick who crashed the car in Austin several years later because I pulled from my insurance information my Probe's VIN number, which is redundant, my Probe's VIN, and I looked it up. I tried to see if I could find out what happened to it after I sold it. And there was an accident report in Austin, Texas for my Probe.
She fucking wrecked it.
And then there was another like report
Absolutely.
in there.
Or she got rear-ended.
Or another no, she was at fault based on the accident report. So there was another entry
Couldn't
in there
read
saying that
English
it got sold to like a scrapyard basically, and it said disposition crush, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. I wonder what that means. So I looked it up again like a year after that, and it was more clear. It was, literally, it got crushed into a cube. It's gone now.
R.I.P.
Can't find
to
it.
the pro.
I wanted to be able to be like, I'm going to go to Austin. And I'm going to buy my car back for $300 from whoever owns it. I'm gonna be
You
like,
could
I'll
buy
give
the
you $300 for this car right now. I probably could buy the cube, but I'm not paying $300
If I
for
could
it.
do that with my first car, figure out because it got sold to. Well, I guess it got sold
No,
to
you
pull
can't.
it.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah,
You
no,
pull it.
it's
No way.
it's
I had to.
your car is spread out
Your
across
car is
Omaha
all
at
Chris,
this
my
point.
question is to you: have you ever been to a dirt race?
No, I kind of
Alright,
want to.
So we're going to this summer. We're all gonna go. It's on like a Friday or Saturday, mainly
Where at?
Fridays. Like Eagle, Nebraska,
Okay.
or like Eagle Raceway. I think
Does your
is
cousin
better than-
race?
No,
Okay, I actually might know somebody who does.
we should have. Like we grew up doing this. We
Right.
should have probably raced, but
Yeah.
we never did.
Well, the
Um,
chick that I know got into it kind of late, just a few years ago. So I mean, it's
But
still
she might.
possible.
So we should go to Eagle Raceway. But when you have a sprint car and you get them going,
Yeah,
there's a truck that pushes it, like
it can't
down
start
the ramp
from itself.
No, so you have to like push and go,
Interesting.
and so then it goes and the truck pulls off. His car dies, and he calls me. He goes, "Hey Trace," I'm like, "What, Matt?" And he goes, "Hey, I need a push," and I'm
Have you-
like,
Have
I
you
can't-
ever
I'm not pushing
seen
your
on
fucking
TV?
car.
Well, no, that's not how it happens. So I was on my way from work one day, and this is my first car that I ever owned, 1993 Geo Prism.
Oh
I
man.
remember.
Hey, one of those is the other car. The only accident I've ever been in.
Really?
It T-boned me when I was on my learner's permit.
Geoprism?
Yeah.
Fucking Christ.
They probably
His car
died.
was
They
awesome.
probably died.
I
in the
want
I was
this
gonna
car.
say, did you feel anything? Because
I did. Well, yeah. Anyway, go on.
But so my parents bought that car 2 months after I was born, I believe, and then I got it when I turned 16. But so I was on my way home from work, and it like the lights were kind of coming on and off, and it was dying. I knew something was up. Called my dad. I stopped, pulled over somewhere and stopped. Called my dad. He came over and jumped me. Got it most of the way
beat
home.
the shit out of you and took your money.
Like, yeah.
You got it to fucking...
Got me about 2/3 of the way home from work.
Yeah.
Then had to pull over and stop in the neighborhood, and he was like, well, like, we don't have time right now, or whatever it was. We couldn't do it. So I think it was the next day, then Trace and I went to go try it again. So we sit there and we jump the car and let it like run a couple minutes on the battery kind of thing, give it some charge, and I had pulled off into a neighborhood. So we figured,
By the way, this is when I had my fucking
He had the Legacy.
1993
Oh, no.
fucking Legacy.
So
Did we all own 93 model year cars?
I had a
as our first?
92.
Yours was 92.
Combo
Brendan
breaker.
had 7 cars to my 2 that
I
I...
didn't have that many.
Not quite.
Because what was that
enough.
first one? It was
A 1992 Grand Am,
the red
Ooh.
one.
Ugh.
And then you had the
$300,
Eclipse, right?
and then I had the white Eclipse. Yep.
And then the Talon.
And then I bought the year newer Talon.
Which is just an Eclipse.
Yep.
And then was the Mazda, right?
And then the Mazda, and then
What-
the
what
Taurus.
Mazda Speed 3.
Mazda Speed 3.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I was going to say, if it was a 626 or Millennia, you basically owned my car.
Nope.
Because that's what a probe
But
was.
so then we charge up the car, and we were off in a neighborhood. So instead of going back on the main roads, like, let's just go through the neighborhoods. We can get to my parents' house through the neighborhoods instead of like stopping in traffic kind
Right.
of thing. So get almost all the way. Like the last thing left is get across this intersection, across the main road, and then we're in my parents' neighborhood kind of thing, right? It dies at that light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like almost
So-
in the middle of the fucking
I,
intersection.
like literally was going, light turns green, I hit the gas and it dies. Like nothing, no movement whatsoever. So Trace pulls up around the end of the intersection and comes head to head, charges it. And as soon as like I get it started, the light turns green and I'm like, Trace, I'm going. He's unhooking the clips and I'm going, and I sprint
Jesus
across the
Christ.
road.
I was like, my hands.
So he has to hook up and then wait for the next light because it took him that long to get back in his car. It died halfway through the intersection, but I was able to coast and then get down a
I
hill.
can just see
No,
this.
you weren't down a hill yet.
No, because I was able to coast and turn the corner and come down the hill back behind where your house was, and then hit the bottom of the hill, and then it's like, that's it. And it's like, fuck this, we're not going to try charging it anymore. Trace pushed me. Literally bumper to bumper, push me up the hill
So
and
that's
push
how
me
you
the
get
rest
a
of the way to my
sprint
You
parents'
can
car
house.
only do that
Going.
with old cars.
two
You can't do-
1993
you can't do a new
cars.
car.
So
They fuck
no
'em up.
fucking way.
It got sold to you. Pull it for $50 a week later.
And then I
50
sold. I
bucks?
sold.
$50.
I sold my fucking Legacy for $850.
$50.
You know
I
what's
sold
really
the
funny is I
Grand Am
sold
to you, pull it
another
for
fucking
$300.
car for $850.
Maybe it was more, but I thought I heard 50 when this happened.
It
Yeah.
might have been
So,
$350.
did your alternator die, or did you lose your belt or
It sounds
something?
like the
It was
alternator.
everything.
It
I don't
was-
fucking
So
know.
I have a story about
He had
that
everything.
actually as well. So I, in this probe, was down at the base hospital. Sorry, I'll make it quick. I know you're nagging about time.
No, you're fine.
fine.
If you want to keep going, we can keep going.
Just keep
If
running
you
your mouth. We don't care.
All
oh
right,
my
there
God.
you go.
I know that you care. That was anyway.
We'll be fine.
We
So-
care. Brendan sitting in the couch.
All right,
over here
and that's
just-
about our time limit. So we're gonna
Yeah, except
See
for I
ya,
control the laptop.
later.
So I was down at Bellevue. I was at the base hospital for a doctor's appointment, and I, except for I have it
What
set
doctor,
to stay
though?
on when I unplug it.
What doctor?
Fuck if I remember, dude. This is like 15 years ago. Not quite. Okay, so I was down in Bellevue at. You're fucking me up over here.
Down in Bellevue.
Down in Bellevue at the base
hospital.
Yeah,
hospital. So,
learn how
you
not
know-
to like fucking be distracted.
You
by
know
people.
where I might have ADHD. I
Brendan,
don't
what are
know.
you waving your arms about over there? You're,
So you know? Do you
he fucking hurt himself.
do you you guys know? You know it's Highway 75, right?
Yeah,
You know, it's,
yeah.
Yes.
you know, 80, 680, all that. So I used to live out in Millwood.
Don't
so
reveal where we
I would
live.
go- I would go from the
It
base
doesn't-
hospital.
You
have
already
to go.
did.
Have to go
Welcome
up
to
75,
Instagram.
Uh-huh.
80,
Okay.
680,
Okay.
Dodge
Okay.
to where like Trinity is or Lifegate, whatever it's called now. That area is where I had to make it to.
Okay.
156 in Dodge.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Could have just said
So-
156. I don't know where the fuck Trinity
sorry.
or Lifegate or whatever.
I went to Millard North, so the people around there knows that.
Types.
So I had to make it from there to there. So my theory is that my belt broke in the parking lot of the base hospital. I drove from Bellevue to my dad's house, which is like 20 miles on just my battery.
Oh, wow.
Yikes.
At about the 680 interchange, all of my gauges stopped working, but the car was still running. And I was like, huh, that's weird. That's not supposed to happen. And it was like wintertime and it was overcast and my lights were on too. So I had enough juice left in my battery to make it into my dad's driveway, and it basically died at that point. I called my older brother, who owned the car before me, because I was like, what the fuck, man? But also because he's a mechanic, so it's handy.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, take a look around your car. That car has doesn't have a serpentine belt. It has accessory belts instead.
Did it cost you $56?
No. Less than that. So he was like, well, look around your car, see what, are all of your belts there? And I was like, son of a bitch, no. So the belt that ran my alternator and some unimportant piece of the car during the wintertime, I think my AC compressor or something like that. I was not worried about that so much in the winter. That belt broke.
Oh, fuck.
So I drove 20 miles on that. So the car was dead. So we went to go take it to the mechanic, and we charged it for like 2 hours, like in my dad's driveway, like just to make sure it had enough. And it still barely had enough. Like once we got there, we were like, I don't know. So we're going to go, but the mechanic I always take my car to was in Elkhorn.
Jesus
It's a 204th and Dodge.
What's wrong with
Jesus
you?
Christ.
So-
why are you going
because
so
I got
far away?
I got fucked by Jensen like 4 times already with this car, so I was not taking it to Jensen, even though it was literally a half mile down the street.
Well,
Never
yeah,
again. So
that. Take it to Ford.
when we're done getting it charged, my dad's like, "Don't use your turn signals. Don't break in unless you have to. Just make it through all of the lights and everything, and just go." So I was like, "All right." So the first available light, it was like yellow, and I'm like, okay, here we go. No turn signals, just driving through the intersection.
Dad
Excuse me,
said don't
everybody.
stop.
I was like 17. I was like, Dad said so I'm just going to do this.
Oh, shit.
And then like a week after that, after I got it fixed, a week after that, the accessory belt that ran, I probably should have taken better care of this car because I wouldn't have had this problem if I had replaced the belts when they were supposed to have been replaced. The accessory belt that ran my water pump and my power steering pump broke when I was like trying to pull into a parking spot. So it was like the worst possible time. But like, or no, it broke actually on the way to Taco Bell on 168th and Maple. And I was like, I didn't know, but like on the way there, I was like, my temperature gauge is like really high. That's weird. I mean, it is the middle of summer. Well, I guess it wasn't the middle of summer. I guess it wasn't a week later. It was like 6 months later. They happened within a reasonable amount of time. And it was so long ago, and my memory's fucked. So...
so is your hearing.
Alcohol.
Exactly. So, yeah,
Cheers.
a lot of that has happened since this event. So yeah, I go to pull into my parking spot, and I'm like, oh my god, because this car had a cast iron engine block, so it weighed like 1,000 pounds in the front of the car. It was impossible to turn the fucking wheels, especially for my skinny ass. So I was like, pull in, and then I'm like, my car's making a really weird noise. It's just like that hissing sound that cars make when they get really hot. And like it was like pegged,
too often.
like the temperature gauge was pegged, like beyond the peg. And I was like, we should probably take our time eating here so we can go home and my car doesn't explode. And then it did anyway, like a year later. So
A
yeah,
year
that's
later.
yeah.
At least it lasted another year.
Yeah, no, I love that car, man. If I could get
Yeah.
another Ford Probe and do it right, I absolutely would. I love that car.
Fuck
Better in the snow
no.
than my 200 is. Believe it or not.
yeah.
So we're at about time. I took up like the last 10 minutes of it. Unless we want to keep going a little bit, or do we want to cut and make another episode tonight, or do you just want to play Rocket League after this? Fucking snow is the next thing on the list.
Holy shit, the fucking snow.
We got a
A
friggin'
foot of snow. It
friggin'
seriously
frock.
feels like a fucking foot of snow.
Yeah, we got it bad.
I went to
Dude,
shovel.
at least
Not
eight
since
inches.
10 years ago have I
At
ever
least
seen snow like
Sunday
this.
morning,
At least 8
and I
inches.
literally had to push it down the sidewalk to find somewhere to put the snow,
Yeah,
unless I wanted to lift it 10 feet in the air.
yeah.
There's
It's
just so
nuts.
much fucking snow on the ground right now.
So, and all right, so we got like what, 2 or 3 inches, and then 2 or 3 more inches, and then like
And
an
we
inch,
got
6 or 7.
we got
And
like
then we
5
got
or 6,
6.
and then this last one added on top of the 5 we gotten before that.
Well,
The
so I will
week-
say that not
So it's
the,
like another 5 probably averaged out
not
for all
this
the
most
drifts, 'cause
recent
there's
one,
a lot
but
of
the
wind this
first
time.
big one.
Yeah.
I had
It's like
been at
5 or 6
work.
inches.
When I clocked off, I went out and cleared off my car completely, cleared all the snow off of it. It was nothing.
Right.
An hour and a half later, when my boss clocked off, I had about 3 inches on my car in an hour and a half.
Yeah. It's nuts. You get those forecasts where this happened a couple years ago where it was like, we're going to get an inch of snow today. I'm like, fine, whatever.
We got an inch to 2 inches an hour. That's why you had 3 inches on your car.
Yeah. So, like, a few years ago, I was at work, and it was, like, midday. And it was like, the forecast is like, oh, we're supposed to get about an inch of snow over the next hour or two. And so I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Go outside to smoke a little bit later. And I'm like, that's certainly not an inch of snow. And it spanned from, like, if I took my hand and spread my thumb and my pinky as far out as they could go, it was that and then also, like, another half an inch on that.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, that is, like, 8 inches of snow?
Yeah.
Like, easily?
Absolutely.
Like, how in the fuck? In like, an hour and a half. It just
It
right
was
on
so crazy, too, on Saturday because, like, we were at Pint 9.
Yes.
And
that beer I had was good, by the way.
You were with them,
Session
too?
Red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Dude,
when I got invited and I was like, yeah, fuck that. I don't want to go out
well,
in this
we were
shit
at
because
Infusion.
it's already that bad.
We were at Infusion, which was closer to your house.
Still.
And I was like, yeah, come out. And then I'm like, it's raining. It could be bad. And then we're like, you know what? Let's go close to the house. We want to go to Cross Train.
Well, they're closed.
They were closed. So then I was like, fuck, we're at Pint 9. And I told Chris, because we were looking out the window, and I said, when I can't see the house in between the two houses that we can see right now, I'll go home. And Chris is like, okay.
Was that about like 2 minutes later?
Fucking.
It was like 20, maybe.
Yeah, 20 minutes later, I was like, I can't see the house. And Chris
And
goes, you driving this shit. And I was like, I know. I can't see the house.
Yeah, and we'd already seen like 3 or 4 Papillion like salt trucks drive by.
Correct.
And it still was, the road was not visible when I left.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
a Wednesday. Okay, so today's a Wednesday. It happened Saturday night.
Yeah.
The roads still have snow on them.
Yeah. The roads of
And
my
they're
neighborhood,
just
your
now
neighborhood is
clearing out.
somehow better than
It's
mine.
officially declared a blizzard. Like,
Yeah.
that's how bad it was.
It's ridiculous.
But you're in Bellevue city limits, right?
No, I'm
No?
not within the city
Okay.
limits. So I actually have something
because
about that too.
that's one of those things that I am going to give every ounce of praise that I possibly can to the Sarpy County Roads Department.
Yeah.
They are amazing
Yep.
at clearing off roads. They are the best that I have ever seen.
Yep.
The city of Omaha is the complete opposite end of that spectrum.
Yeah.
It is horrid.
Yeah.
The way that I go to work,
They don't give a fuck about downtown
So
either, which
the
is funny.
county line is Harrison Street, right?
Right.
So if you're south of the county line, you're in Sarpy. North is Douglas,
Yep.
which where I live is all city of Omaha. So
Right.
city of Omaha takes care of the roads. The roads, like on Sunday morning, they were still iffy. But then on Tuesday morning, when I had to work the next, roads were fine in Sarpy. The second I crossed Harrison,
Yep.
terrible.
Even during the blizzard, like when I crossed over, during the blizzard on Saturday it was bad, but the previous big snow right before that, on 75, as soon as I got from Douglas to Sarpy County, clear.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's
the road was wet. That's it.
Dude,
And Sunday morning, I had to
amount
work
of
early.
shit that was on the roads is ridiculous.
Yeah.
We spend so much money for people to clear this shit.
Well, I
We
mean,
can't
I live
get
in
around.
Sarpy County, so they're using my dollars well.
Yeah, exactly. And I will gladly pay those dollars if that's the service I'm getting out of it compared to what
So
Omaha
not only
gets.
that, but
Like-
so I do kind of, the only thing I don't like about the snow in my cul-de-sac specifically right now is that I thought that, so when you enter my circle, I am the first house on the right.
Okay.
Right? Where I used to live at my dad's house, he was the first house on the left, which means that usually when plows go through, they go from right to left because that's how we drive in the United States, and all the shit gets piled on the last house on the right or the first house on the left, right? Same house. So it all just
I
gets
gotcha.
pushed around.
No, they
put on me.
actually plow the opposite way. They plow
They
up
do,
the other side of the street.
which means that my house now gets all the shit. So
because they do that on my street too. They come up on the other side. They come up on the hill on the left side and then go down the hill on the left side. And
So my sidewalk in front of my house, I haven't really been able to clear because I don't have a snowblower. And I mean, to be fair, most of the time, and thank God for my neighbors too, because they most of the time clear I've had to shovel once this year, My neighbors like come by and they, because they're already in the circle, so they're just like, I'll just go to the next person or whatever. So, but the previous big snow I had to actually shovel, but I couldn't shovel my sidewalks in front of my house because it was under 12 feet of snow from everything else.
They're gonna fine people.
Yeah, if they do that, I'm just gonna send. Well, no, in Omaha they always do that. I think there's extenuating circumstances, like if you say
no, they
your crews dumped all this snow on my sidewalk. Your crews should clear my sidewalk.
Well, no, they just
because
said
the snow that's on my sidewalk is not from the snowfall.
Right.
It is from people putting it here.
They just said that they plowed all the streets, and the mayor sent out a press release that said if citizens do not clean up the sidewalk, they'll get a notice, and then if they don't do it after that, they'll be fined.
So that's the thing is,
well, they won't really be fined. They'll just be
Ridiculous.
required to pay for the contractor that did clear it.
When I was
but
shoveling
still,
on Sunday
you
morning,
put it there.
So it snowed Saturday night into Sunday morning, right? And I had to work at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. Well, I went out at 6 and started shoveling just because I want to get this clear kind of thing. There's a lot of fucking snow. To shovel it takes a while, right?
Yeah.
I get almost all the way down my driveway right before I hit the sidewalk.
Yeah.
When the plow comes down the street.
Yeah.
Goes up the other side of the street, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to hold on and see what he does now. Comes back down my side, throws a bunch of snow back up. It was 3-4 inches away from where I had stopped, like just barely, and I was like, thank God I fucking stopped, because if I would have had to redo shit, like,
I'd been pissed. I was said, hey, come back up
threw
this
it
way
up
and
over the entire sidewalk. Like, if I had had the sidewalks cleared, I would have had to reshovel them.
Yep.
Because there was that much snow.
So, and thankfully, whoever did my took their snowblower and did my driveway last, they actually cut a path on my sidewalk because it's a lot easier with a snowblower.
Oh yeah.
But I will say, though, that the Sarpy crew, I mean, there's really not anywhere else to put the snow.
No.
My property has the largest front yard on that circle, except for the one right across from me. So it's a good place to put it. I get it from a logistical standpoint. It makes sense. It just kind of sucks for my sidewalk. But at that point, the circle's clear, and the only thing that my sidewalk does is get you into the circle. So I clear the sidewalk that's parallel to 32nd Street, and then I clear it into the circle, and then I don't clear the sidewalk right in front of the house, because it's like if you need to walk here, you just walk in the circle.
Yeah.
There's at least a path there.
So,
right? So, but the Sarpy crew that came through to do my circle this last time, they plowed all the shit right in front of my driveway, but then he spent like an extra 5 minutes dragging it away from my driveway and pushing it onto the giant pile that's on my sidewalk. So at least he cleared my driveway for me. He didn't leave it there just to fuck me.
What direction does your driveway face?
Northwest. It's one of the worst parts about my house.
That's shitty. Brendan, do you face
Mine is
north?
North. Yeah, north.
Yeah. And Trace, you face south, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
whenever
I go to buy my next house, if I sell this one,
I face east.
you face south.
No,
Southeast.
I don't.
Your driveway?
Yeah. It faces Iowa.
Really?
It faces Iowa.
Okay.
Iowa East.
Either way, that is something that I am going
Doesn't
to pay
it?
attention to. I thought it was
didn't get
south, but
He faces pretty much close. He almost faces 72nd.
okay.
But he's
Yes.
kind of almost at an angle, so it's
Yeah.
almost like a
Okay.
southeast.
Okay.
Either way, that's
all
something.
right, we were both right.
Next time I go to buy a house, like that is something I'm going to pay attention to.
What direction do you want it to face?
Oh, south,
South.
100%.
Okay.
You
Sun.
as long as you shovel your driveway like early enough in the morning to ground, it's clear by noon.
See,
Like,
with
clear.
mine faces north, but it's exposed enough to where between like a 10 and 3, I have sun, and then there's this monster tree that's like 400 years old that covers the.
But I
rest
mean,
of
you
it,
walk
but-
outside right now, and it's been, I mean, it's Wednesday, so it's been 4 days since it snowed, right?
Right.
My driveway is bone dry, other than like
The edges.
what's melted kind of thing
Yeah.
or come out of the gutters. You look at my neighbors across the street that face north, still completely covered.
So
Even though they shoveled.
facing the northwest, I do get some sun in the wintertime. And it's enough sun that as long as I've cleared my driveway, it will usually dry it off. Not so much this time around just because we got so much snow so quickly. But typically, if the driveway's clear, it will the sun, even when it's 12 degrees outside, because the UV rays penetrate the snow and they heat the concrete and then melt the snow, right? So if anybody didn't know how snow melts, even though it's 12 degrees outside, it does because it's on concrete. So, which is why packed snow sucks balls because it doesn't let that through and it doesn't ever
Such
melt.
as all of our streets in Omaha.
Correct.
It's so terrible.
Oh, man.
How do you get that bad at moving snow?
Well, you just didn't. You didn't
just-
do it throughout.
You
the
let
blizzard
everyone
is why.
drive on it.
Like a straight southeast.
Like exactly.
Okay, we're
So-
both right.
my house faces
like,
northwest,
no.
which is good in the wintertime because it clears my driveway off in a reasonable amount of time. Right. Blows ass in the summertime.
Your house is always hot.
My house always has sun on it from about 10 in the morning in
Put a
June.
big ass tree out front.
I mean, I'm not going to be there for
Well,
50 years.
I was gonna
while
say,
it
well,
takes
you'd
fucking
have to go
grow.
pick up a big ass tree.
I
and
also
carry it
have
over there.
I have two big ass trees in front of my house. The problem is that the one on the one side, if you're facing the house, it's the left side, so the southeast side of the house doesn't shade the house enough. It shades it a little bit, doesn't shade it enough.
Matt has
The other-
fucking two
The
trees
other
that
big
shade
ass
the
tree
shit
that's
out
in
of
my
his
house, in my yard, is a pine tree. So it goes like this. It's a triangle, so it doesn't provide a whole lot of fucking shade at all. So it would be really cool if I ever was motivated to put Christmas lights on it, though, because that would be fucking sweet.
I've thought about doing that with mine.
So from
and,
about
and then you
10,
guys realized it took a lot of work, and you're like, "Fuck this."
yeah, I
Oh,
need like a 16-foot ladder to
if
get
I
to
did
the
it,
top
they'd
of it.
stay up year round, and I just plug
Exactly.
them in every Christmas
That's
time.
exactly what would happen. So this doesn't grow that fast. So from about 10 in the morning till about 10, maybe midnight at night, depending on how hot it was that day, my AC unit is running
Oh yeah.
the entire time,
Well, I mean,
which is actually better for it than if it had to stop and start.
that's the thing. What do you keep your
But
house
it's still-
at as well?
It doesn't matter. It's 75 all day, if not more. If I set it to 70 or 72, it doesn't matter what I
No,
set it to.
I
Unless
so
I set it to 76, then it would
set it
off and on
higher
or
so
whatever.
it stops.
I don't want it to stop. At a certain point, the perpetual motion of a machine is better for it than if you were to stop it and start it and
Right,
stop it
but
and start
what
it.
I'm saying is at one point it ain't gonna start again. So it's gonna start in the morning
Right.
and get to whatever point you need, and then it's gonna stop because of the heat outside.
Well, and then it's going to start again every 20 minutes because it's still hot as fuck outside and the house is retaining all that heat.
Just paint your house
Fair.
white.
It's already a light blue. It's already like a lightish color.
That's
Lightish
fair.
red. It's already a light color.
Buy mirrors.
Yeah, no, I need to do what Brendan did with his and do the film stuff that you had and then reseal around the windows and just make sure.
It's for the summer.
Because my house isn't as old
For
as
the
yours
winter,
is,
sorry.
but it was like way cheaply
How old
built.
is your house, Brendan?
99 years old.
Jesus Christ.
Damn.
I thought you were gonna say 1999. It was
No, that
I
was-
was like, wait, what?
That's when
not
my
old.
house was built.
1920.
Mine's
Really?
60
Wow.
years old.
She's
I'm pretty sure
wait,
60
she
years
old-ish.
Okay, yeah.
1920.
Yeah, but at a certain point, the
I was
older
like,
the
wait, no,
house
that's 101.
is
No,
almost
it's
guaranteed
not.
to have had more done to it.
Yeah,
Because like
fuck.
my house isn't
Mine-
old
But
enough
I
to have been
like your
remodeled
house,
yet.
Brendan. I
But like a
fucking
house like
like
yours or Trace's age,
1980.
Do you
on
have a
mine.
bathroom in your master bedroom?
No.
No.
that
So
wasn't a
do
thing
you
they
own-
did yet.
Do you only have one bathroom? in the
One
house?
single bathroom.
We
Oh,
do
damn.
too, but
So
at the same time, like I like the layout of your house.
I do like the layout
it's
of your house.
not bad. It's come a long ways because the kitchen,
Right.
the layout they had,
absolutely.
it was just so fucking small. But like, I mean, obviously it's changed since they built houses in 1920.
Right.
You need a big kitchen now to do anything.
Yeah. And I feel like if you really wanted to get crazy, you could add. Well, I guess
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know how big your.
If you had
master
plenty of money, you
bedroom
could
is.
just keep adding to the house.
Right,
The house is
right.
just it's
Well,
small, so
your
you couldn't.
backyard's fucking
hard to add
giant.
to.
Well,
Yeah,
there's certain
exactly.
things you don't want to do to your house because
Right.
you price yourself out of
You
the
are-
market.
right.
In that
Well,
area.
so, like,
it's like
we were-
there's
we-
certain things I will never do to my house.
Right. We're getting new countertops
Even
on
if I
Friday.
want them.
And we were looking at. So I texted my realtor. I said, "Hey, if I get granite,
Don't do real granite in
do
your
I
area, probably.
get like what's the percentage of money back I'll
Granite's
get on it
out.
when I sell it, right?" And he's like, "You won't get your money back where you're at. So just do like laminate or solid surface."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." So we're like, "Fuck, laminate's cheap. Let's do laminate." Well, then Lowe's calls us and goes, "Hey, solid surface is on sale. It's cheaper than laminate while you're doing this." And I was like, "All right, fuck it. We'll do solid surface." So now we're having solid surface put in, but I think solid surface is the way to go no matter what.
What is
because-
I don't
Like
know.
the particle board type. Like
yeah,
just
so like it's like your
what you have now, basically.
Is that what? Okay.
Yeah.
because laminate, all you do is like put it over the old stuff,
Okay.
and then it can like peel and
Right.
Stuff like that. Solid surface.
A lot of
they
solid
take
surface.
the whole thing out and put new stuff in.
Right. But the solid surface usually has a veneer on it, which is
Right.
like laminate, so it's kind of the same thing.
Right.
Just
Gotcha.
it's a better idea though because
Right.
it replaces the whole thing instead of just the
Correct.
top layer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was like, perfect. We'll do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to redo my kitchen floor too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm sitting here going, how long do I have to wait till the city center's done and all this other shit done in Omaha to make my money back? You know what I'm saying? And that's how I look at a house. Like, I hate renting things. And I do technically rent my truck.
Right.
But I would rather own a home and rent a car than own a car and rent a home.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people are like, I'm going to rent this. It's like, no, don't stop renting shit. You're throwing money away.
Yeah.
But
Stuff that like a car is an okay thing to like lease is rent. It's the same thing. Or it's in this case. Just because it depreciates in value so quickly, and especially if you know that you're never going to hit the mileage on it, it is definitely a better option. However, I put 30,000 miles on my car in less than a year, so
Jesus
I'm
fucking Christ.
I'm only
almost. No, sorry. I've owned my car 2
3
years,
years
and
at
I put
12,000, so 36.
I had a 4-year lease on my car.
Sorry, I got that wrong. 2 years, I put 30,000 miles on my car.
My lease
Still
on my
above average.
car was 4 years, and I had 10,500 miles a year, so 42,000 miles, right?
Right.
I was at 31 in 4 years.
And we drove to Kansas City like 4 times, Colorado twice.
Damn.
Like, we drove all over
Minnesota
the
3
place.
times.
My car's only been to
Minnesota,
Austin
yeah.
once, and that's twice.
To and from Minnesota
Once.
in the matter of fucking 48 hours.
Ugh. Ugh.
No,
Yeah, it was 48
when I
hours.
went with my sister, we left Omaha at about 8 a.m. and we were back in Omaha about 4 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah, but what? Oh, yeah, you went to the concert.
We went to a concert.
But when
Yeah.
we went to the concert, stayed, and then
Night.
went to a hockey game,
And
and
then drove back
came
overnight.
back. What time did we get back?
Well, so, I mean, that was about the same. So it was probably we left 8 in the morning. Or maybe it wasn't that early.
Yeah, because the
Well,
concert
no, we went
started
to the
at
mall.
like 7.
We did go to the mall, didn't we?
Well, that was the next day. We had to go to the
Oh,
concert
you're right.
the night we
so,
drove up.
Okay, so we probably left noon or so, maybe a little bit before that, and then stayed the night, so noon the next day, and then was back by 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. So less than 48 hours.
Less than 48 hours. And we went to a concert
And a hockey game.
and a hockey game
Jesus.
in less than 24 or less than 48
That was a
hours.
great trip, though.
Dude, it was so much fun.
Other than
Well,
It's making me tired.
Yeah,
Minus
just
the
thinking
Jets
about it.
losing.
well, and the walk home. Yeah.
Well, yeah, all right.
You had to
That's
walk
like,
from
hey,
Minneapolis
we'll walk
home.
in
Well, we
St.
walked
Paul,
from the
Minnesota.
concert venue back to our hotel through downtown Minneapolis
Yeah.
at night. It was a bit sketchy, the path that we went.
When we got to the hotel, the front door opened, then you had to call in to make sure that you actually fucking stayed there.
Yeah.
I said, Matt, we're going to die. On the way home, Matt's like, no, we're good. I said, do
Although
not stop
I'm still
and
pretty
talk
sure
to anybody.
that van with the trailer attached to it that we walked by,
Absolutely
or the bus,
it was.
I guarantee that was the opening band.
Yes.
that we
it was
saw.
Gravedigger. Absolutely.
Gravedigger.
Gravedigger. Dude, they're that old, too.
That old. They're
I
barely
told
50.
Matt, I said, Matt, do not talk to anybody. Just keep your head down. Keep walking. And
Guess
my
who talked
head's
to
down.
somebody?
I'm
it Matt?
walking. I stop halfway. And I'm like, Matt, what the fuck? I turn around. This motherfucker's talking to a homeless guy because this homeless guy was like, you got any money? I need money for drugs. And Matt's like, I don't got
He
any
didn't say I need
money
money for drugs.
Well,
and I was
I
like,
probably
no,
didn't
sorry,
say
I
that.
don't. That's it.
And I was like, Matt. And he's like, I told you. I was like, stop talking to fucking people when you get back to the hotel. And then there was a fucking a Caprice. Is that the one?
Oh yeah, the one that was driving down the street with no lights.
No
on
lights.
And just like
slow as
slow
fuck.
cruise.
Yeah.
and-
Like
yeah.
he's gonna shoot somebody up in about 2
We gonna
seconds,
die.
and we stand in here.
I'm in danger.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I was like,
Huh.
get the fuck back. Oh, and walking to the concert, there was a lady with her kid in a stroller yelling on her phone, like shoving the stroller back and forth.
Jesus.
I was like, can we just get the fuck out of here. Can we go to the concert? Can we go do something? By the way, in Minnesota, if you get a beer, it costs the same amount as vodka and soda. $4. Or wait, what was it? It was like $5, $4.
I think we paid like $10 for like.
Two
I think
drinks.
It was like $5 for a beer.
Yeah, it was like 2 drinks. It was like $10. And
I was like, time I went to Minnesota,
fuck,
I
if I
just
would
got a
have known
parking
that.
ticket.
I also don't
so.
remember if it might have been like event pricing or something because it was right next to the.
Yeah, but they're not
place.
going to charge you because it's like going downtown. They're not. I mean, they're going to
Still
charge
raise
more
their
because it's
prices. Why not?
downtown.
Yeah.
But
Well, and then we went to the place for the hockey game the next night, and remember we got there super early, like
We
end
were
of lunch rush
drinking.
early, and like just sitting there having some snacks and drinking, and then it's like a block away from the arena that the
Cell Energy Center.
yeah, and right down the street, and yeah, and it's a hockey bar. Like they have hockey memorabilia everywhere, and they get
the
damn
owner
busy
is an
on
ex
wild game
Wild.
nights. And yeah, and so like we were just sitting at a table, like we'd been here for 5 hours, and all of a sudden
Literally.
there's people just standing everywhere,
Everywhere.
like standing
Dude,
room only.
It's like a
because-
Husker game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and
we were sitting there for a while, and the
And-
price has changed.
well, the price has changed. They handed us a smaller
Sons
menu,
of
New
bitches.
a new menu, that like a reduced menu. They took our glasses that we had been using and gave us plastic ones instead.
That makes sense.
Like when we order our next drinks. Yeah, I
And
mean, it totally
I
makes
got
sense.
a lot of dirty looks
Oh, for
Because he
your,
was
for your
wearing
shirt.
Winnipeg
because I was
stuff,
wearing
yeah,
my
but-
Winnipeg stuff.
But
Yeah.
the best part was though that they had the Captain Morgan girls were there that night
Ooh.
giving out free shots of.
Sure, they were ugly as hell.
Yeah,
and,
Yeah.
They were giving out free shots of
Idiots.
Captain. I think it was Cannon
Captain
Blast.
Morgan?
It was Cannon Blast
It was
right when it
Cannon
first
Blast.
came out.
Yep.
And
And they do
Oh,
you
yeah.
still have the koozie
The-
that slaps
the
around?
slap koozie for Captain Morgan. We got the shot glasses that I still have those upstairs somewhere. Yeah.
And what was really funny though is I was like, Matt, these people absolutely hate me because I'm wearing Winnipeg stuff and we're in Minnesota. They're like rivals, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, watch this. I'm gonna nod at this guy, and the guy's giving me a dirty ass look and like turn around.
I think we ended up right before we left to go to the game. We shared our table with some other Winnipeg
Winnipeg's-
fans
yeah.
because it was like, "Oh, you're wearing Winnipeg stuff. Okay, we're friends now." Like,
But
yeah.
seriously, I nodded at this guy goes, and turned around, and I was like, "Did you see that?" Matt's like, "Jesus, they're gonna beat the shit out of you." I was like, "Nah, we'll be good." We got Winnipeg fans walking in the door, turn the corner, and they're like, "Hey, what up?" I'm like, Winnipeg.
See, it doesn't matter where I go unless it's in Philadelphia, but even then, probably not. But if I ever wore my Flyers gear anywhere, people would hate me. They'd
Fucking
like,
Flyers
they'd like,
fans.
what the fuck? Although, dude, new guy on the Flyers, Ryan Hartman,
Ryan Hartman.
he is kicking ass and taking names
kicking
already.
fucking ass, man.
It's like first shift of the Flyers. You just like Dahlin is like he went first overall to the Sabres, right? Like this year, rookie, really good hockey player. Hartman's first shift with the Flyers, just flattened him.
The game on Saturday,
on the
man,
ice.
they were fucking lighting
That was
people up.
That was a good
It
game,
was so good.
extra good because we won.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
But
I
and it was against
actually
the Penguins.
cheering for
Fuck
you
the
guys.
Pens.
I was cheering for you guys. Of
Well, you
course.
have to because
Who
it's the
scored
Penguins.
the first goal? Crosby.
Crosby, yeah.
Crosby
He
scored
gets
the first
so
fucking goal.
lucky
Dude,
every time.
The puck had literally, the goalie like cleared it, like I'm throwing it down ice. It hit one of the Flyers guys. Crosby turned around, literally like, all right, I scored.
Yeah.
I was
It's
like, what
so
is going
obnoxious.
on?
The last 2 goals that he scored against the Flyers have just been pure luck.
Yeah, the first one, was not pure luck.
Yeah.
That was paying attention. is
Pure
what
luck.
Crosby
He
did.
got super lucky again that nobody knew that's where the puck was, and it landed
Dude.
like right in front of him, right in front of the empty net.
He just literally like stuck his stick out, dragged it back to his feet, and threw it in the goal. And the goalie for the Flyers still didn't know where the puck was.
Right. He didn't know it was there until
No
the
fucking idea.
goal the horn went off.
Yep.
Basically, it's like, oh, there it is, because it went up, and I think a lot of people thought it hit the net, so they're like, oh, all right, we're done then, but it didn't. It came down. It's like literally 2 feet in front of the net. He's like, oh, here we go, boom. Like Crosby hasn't. So the 2 goals that I'm thinking of, he doesn't have to work. against the Flyers. Like for the last 2 goals he scored against the Flyers. It's so frustrating.
Malkin scored against you fuckers. Okay, so when we were talking about that,
Yeah.
and Malkin's penalty,
Yeah.
I didn't really see it until Saturday.
Yeah.
And I was like, that motherfucker should have been suspended for the rest of the fucking year.
Yeah. So it didn't connect, which is probably why he only got a game.
Right. But you can't just spin around and fucking whip.
Gudis has been suspended for way less than that.
Hit your stick. Like, I'm going to hit you in the face with wham. Like, you can't just turn around and fucking hit people.
Yeah. So, Stadium Series game was good. Flyers or the Penguins lost. Fuck the Pens in overtime. Claude Giroux scored the overtime winning goal.
Yes, he did.
For his 800th career game.
Yeah, dude.
It's a great game.
Can you imagine, as any professional sport, guys, playing 800 games?
I mean, really, it can only happen in, well, I'm going to say this. Oh, it can only happen in like a couple sports, like baseball and hockey and basketball, and like keep naming shit. Okay, so it can happen in a lot of sports. Basically, just not football because they only play 16 games.
But
a year.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Brendan, if you were a professional athlete and you played 800 games, you realize how long you'd have to be in the league? 13
It's a few
years?
games.
Yeah.
10 years?
Well, Giroux specifically. So
how
he's
many
30,
games do they play?
He's 31
in hockey?
this year.
60?
82 a year.
82 a year. So yeah.
So probably
10.
about 11.
11.
11 at least.
Right.
If you played every one of those 82 games in every season.
Right.
Which nobody ever does.
But if you
not at the beginning of their career anyway.
12, 13-year career, that's not
overly big in
it's
hockey.
just you need to be a starter for all that.
Right. Well, he has been.
And Drew's gonna end up playing 1,000 games. I do too. So since we're
done.
at about an hour and 20 minutes probably when this is all said and cut down. So I think we're good on today's episode. So it went well.
Thank you for listening. We are on Spotify,
and I probably won't have to edit much of it.
iTunes, Google Play, Libsyn. Go give us a listen. Go give us a follow.
YouTube.
We are
I
working.
almost just yelled
And
out a bunch of
YouTube.
obscenities just so you had to bleep
And
something,
we are
but-
working on stuff for you guys to buy. We are working on merch. We are working on a bunch of different things. So we are trying to get this up and going.
buy our shit.
And
we want you to give us money, but we also want you to have cool looking shit.
Right. So it's taken us a minute, and we all actually, after this podcast, probably sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, but after we pee.
After we pee.
Seriously.
Did you say Chris needed something to edit?
Fuck
Shit ass bitch.
Hey.
You know, none
Don't
of those words I care about.
I'm thinking something more like.
Oh my god.
Are you shooting something?
You gotta believe that. That's worth it.
Fuck
All right.
my life.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Love you.